Webcomics. What is a webcomic? Well, it's pretty easy. Let's break it down. First part, web. You know, as in www, World Wide Web. Though, let's be honest, nobody below the age of 16 even knows what that means anymore. Heck, you don't even have to put the www dot in when you're typing a URL half the time, assuming you didn't just Google the website. Anyway, there's the second part, comic, you know, as in Superman, Batman, Avengers, and lots of other silly cartoon people with word bubbles above their heads. Put the two together, and you've got web comics. Comics that are found on the internet. How long have webcomics existed? Well, the history of webcomics is pretty much interwoven with the history of the internet itself, which really shouldn't be surprising since comics are just another form of art and humanity has been doodling on whatever it can get its hands on since before recorded history. So the first webcomics came into existence before the internet as we know it today, through services like CompuServe. What's CompuServe, you ask? Well, before people could easily host their own websites, interaction on the internet was limited through, just imagine if the entire internet was just Facebook and the first webcomics were pretty much just people posting their art to their prehistoric Facebook pages. There were several prominent webcomics floating around, but the first webcomic to truly be posted on the World Wide Web with its very own website and everything was Dr. Fun, a single-panel comedy series that lasted from 1993 to 2006. But during that time, webcomics took several evolutionary steps. Other important milestones include Rogues of Claude Ron in 1994, the first non-US webcomic by a Dutch artist named Reinder Jikus. Sorry, bro. Then there's Argon Zark, the first long-form storytelling webcomic about a programmer, a FedEx girl, and a robot who get stuck on the internet and go on all kinds of wacky cybernetic adventures. Argon Zark was noteworthy for being one of the first full-cover webcomics to also include small animations from time to time. Argon started in 1995 and is ongoing periodically to this day. Then, from around 1996 to 2000, things really started to kick into high gear, thanks to an ever more accessible web. More and more people began to use it, and these nifty little things called internet portals began to corral the many new pages of the internet to make discovery easier. But before we enter the new millennium, we have to talk about Penny Arcade. Begun in 1998, written by Jerry Holkins and drawn by Mike Krahulik, Penny Arcade began as a humble little comedy strip about video games and how silly they can be sometimes. Since then, Penny Arcade has exploded in popularity and has grown into a miniature multimedia empire. Using their resources, the duo created the Penny Arcade Expo, or PAX, a video game convention that takes place multiple times of the year, all around the world, sort of. Open to the public, PAX is a convention where fans congregate to share in their love of video games, while some of the biggest publishers in the industry get to show off their upcoming wares. Penny Arcade has even made a few games of its own, featuring the characters from the strip. The primary convention, PAX Prime, is held in Seattle, Washington, with PAX East held in Boston, Massachusetts, PAX Australia in Melbourne, and in 2015 they'll be adding PAX South in San Antonio, Texas. But that is not all. One day in 2003, Holkins and Krahulik were talking to each other, and they were like, "Hey, you know what's really effing boring? I don't know. What? Kids in hospitals." Huh. Wow. You're right. We should totally do something about that. And so, in 2003, the Child's Play charity was founded with the goal of bringing toys and video games to children in hospitals. Since its inception, Child's Play has grown consistently year after year, with a cumulative total of $25,196,670 in donations. Other noteworthy milestones for webcomics include Mega Tokyo, that began in 2000, a long-running series that started very much like Penny Arcade, featuring two friends making jokes about video games, which over time became a much more serious slice-of-life drama. Then in 2001, Nowhere Girl, a story about a young woman grappling with the struggles of everyday life, gained recognition for being the first webcomic to be posted as a single complete work, instead of pages being made on a semi-regular basis by the author. In 2005, the Eisner Awards, basically the Oscars but for comics, added a digital comics category to their awards. Also in 2005 was the launch of the now very popular XKCD, a stick figure webcomic by a former NASA roboticist, which is about everything from complex physics to the simple joys of everyday life. Since then, not too much has changed for webcomics. Other than that, there's a crap ton of webcomics about video games. Big publishers like Marvel, DC, and Image are finally deciding to sell their comics online, and tons of kids are procrastinating to pirate Japanese manga.